Hey everyone. Yeah, it's about 6:31 on this TGIF. Thank God it's Friday in the morning. And yeah, I'm doing this now because I got to be at work in about um, an hour and 59 minutes. Basically, I'll be working in about an hour and 59 minutes. Uh, but I didn't get a chance to do this yesterday because, while I was, you know, constantly getting interrupted a lot, I was resting a little bit and, just trying to figure out when I can talk about it. And any chance I would probably start thinking about it, that's when my mom would knock on the door and ask me about this and that. She's got a Kindle, and she's using Facebook on it. So, just like anybody that's probably using Facebook on a mobile device for the first time or whatever, um, she's trying to figure a lot of things out. So, go figure. But anyway, I never got a chance to say it. And again, you see the title down below. But I want to wish the Sonic franchise, if not the Sonic character himself, a happy 25th anniversary. It's hard to believe that it's been 25 years since this character debuted. I remember when they did the commercials and everything, and they're right about one thing. This was the one game that Sega put out that made you want to go and get a Sega Genesis. This is like, wow, look at all this blast, all this. I mean, even if you didn't know what blast processing or anything like that was, you saw something that Nintendo wasn't doing with Mario. So it was like, ooh, this is pretty cool. And for me, the first chance I ever got to play Sonic on the Sega Genesis was at my cousin's in Hayward. You know, and I've talked about this before. The one thing between me, my sisters, and our cousins was we were kind of like the Nintendo family. Well, mostly our consoles were Nintendo, and they were the Sega family. They were the Sega Genesis. So I mean, they had Nintendo, they had Super Nintendo and everything. Basically, they had basically both. They both had the Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. We primarily just had Nintendo, and then later on, kind of differentiated when I got the TurboGrafx 16. And nowadays, you got all sorts of consoles. It doesn't matter if you have a Nintendo or whatever. You're now mostly any kind of console you want. um, but the point is that was the first time I got to play the game, and I can't remember if we would always want them to bring it over to our house, the console with the game, or if we would go to our grandparents, we want them to bring it there, or what. I don't really know. Um, what I do know is anytime we did visit over there, we get to play the game. We play the game or play the sequel or whatever. And then I remember around late 92, early 93. I know it was late 92 for a lot of people, but around late 92, early 93, I started hearing about this comic book. And I'm thinking, what is this? Because I didn't know. I didn't know excuse me. I didn't know the comic had been out since about, I think, late 92, I believe. So I didn't know, honestly. And when I when I finally read the comic, I think it was a little around the same time the Saturday AM cartoon came out. Adventures and Saturday AM had come out. So that's when I started reading the comics, as far as I know, because I know it had a miniseries. I know it had a miniseries that started around 92, late 92, and proceeded into 93. So I think maybe what was around late 92, which I would assume maybe December, October, something like that. So you're looking into January, and when they finally started to do a regular issue, I started to get into that around issue 6. So if the regular issues were starting around maybe a month or two afterwards, then I got into reading the comic just around, like I said, the beginning, if not a little after the beginning of the Saturday AM cartoon. And I've actually enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, one of the comics that I got, I still have, in a sense. And what I mean, in a sense, is it's kind of, well, let's just put it this way. It's ruinated. I know what issue it is. I got the issue back, in a sense, thanks to the archives. But yeah, it's kind of in shambles. But that wasn't the only issue I got. The first one I actually got was the one where they did the Christmas Carol adaptation. Yeah, they did a Christmas Carol adaptation and a backstory. And what happened one day, and I don't know. And again, I used to read comics as a kid. We had a lot of Spider-Man comics in Comanche when we go camping there, so I would read those. I don't know if I brought them with me or not, but I would read the Spider-Man comics there. And I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was trying to be cool, like, okay, I'll take my comic anywhere I want with me. Nobody's going to say anything. Well, one day I decided, I guess, to fold up, I think it was issue 5 or 6 that had the Christmas Carol in it. It had the Spinball adaptation as well. I decided to fold it up, and this was the original issue. This is the one I got when it first came out. I decided to fold it up, put it into my back jeans pocket, and forget about it. And the next thing when I finally remembered about it, it was too late. My mom or my grandma had washed my pants and my clothes, and next thing I know, I pull it out, and it's in shambles. So thank God for places like Mile High Comics and stuff, because now I'm able to, get the issue when I can. Well, I was able to get the issue, same issue I had before, just as I remember it, in one piece. And again, the following issue I got was, I think, issue 8, and that's the original one I still have, but it's sort of in shambles. It's sort of like tucked away in one of those totes down there. And then after that, I got issue 11, which thankfully along with issue 12, are the only original issues that I have so far from the earlier stages to still be in good condition. Later on, I got issue 17, and stuff like that. Those are still in good condition. And then after a while, after I wasn't able to get my hands on some of the comics, I kind of missed out on some issues. But I still read the comic, because I had, like I said, issue 11 and 12 with me, and stuff like that. I was even able to get issue 29 thanks to my mom when she came for a visit, because she would visit every year. So I got an issue, I think it was issue 29, I think I got from her. So I think that's the issue that introduced Dulcie. And I remember getting the issue and everything, and I just decided that I had to get more of the issues. But again, living in Oskaloosa, Kansas, and for some odd reason, the little supermarket we had there, the gas stations that we had there, neither one of them had a comic book rack. Because usually at that time, gas stations, I think some still do it to this day, would have comic book racks, little spinning comic book racks, on newsstands with comic books on them, to where you could pick one out and buy one. For some odd reason, they never had it. I don't know why. Anyway, long story short, when I did it was sort of a vocationary summer program, where I was supposed to, for about a week or two, live with other people. I was not with other families. It was not like an exchange thing. It was mostly living with other people my age, to kind of get us ready for that real world. And I did pretty good there. I mean, I had an incident one night where I was hungry and I wanted to make some eggs, and I guess I overdid it, and that caused the fire alarm in the apartment to go off. But thankfully, nothing happened. It was just that, so it was okay. It's just too much smoke, too much steam. Um, then after that, well, not after that, but during that time, one of the things we would do on the weekend, because we were also working, it was kind of like I said, get a 2 week program to get us, into the workforce and kind of get us to know what having jobs and living on our own after high school was going to be like. So I ended up, going into. So anyway, one weekend we ended up going to the mall. I think we even went and saw Godzilla that year. I'm not really sure. Did we see Godzilla? I can't really remember. I think we may have. I can't remember if we saw Godzilla that year. I think we may have. Yeah, I think we did. No, it was the following year because I even went into the program after I graduated. Can you believe it? But anyway, but anyway, uh, that first year we went to the mall. I think we went to go see a movie that year too. I can't really remember. And one of the places we stopped at was this little strip mall. It wasn't Westridge Mall, which is the mall in Topeka. It was mainly a regular strip mall, and in one of those areas was a comic shop. Well, it wasn't just a comic shop; we also had a gas station there too. But it was mostly the gas station around that comic strip, around that strip mall area. And I remember going in there. It was one of those gas stations that nowadays you see is kind of like a little mini mart, and it had a newsstand. And on this newsstand was not just magazines, but comics. You had comics on there, and I noticed there was not just one, not just two, but three Sonic comics. And I looked at them, and each and every one of them was a continuation of the other, except for the second issue, which I ended up getting later on. And ironically, that was the Endgame saga. So I made the decision after that, even though I missed again after going back to school and living with my dad and the following year and all that, I decided, this is the honest truth, I decided to do a subscription. So around late 98, around basically not around late 98, early 99, early to semi mid 99, I decided to start subscribing to the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book and been subscribing since then. So yeah, I've been going on for almost 17 years as a subscriber to this book. That's hard to believe. But that shows you how much of a fan I am of this character and the characters related. And I talked about Sad AM, and the thing is with Sad AM, this was a show that even everybody, doesn't matter if you like Sonic overall or not, will say was probably the best animated adaptation of a video game ever. Because yes, it had references to game elements like the power rings, things and the time stones and stuff like that. It had all these references, but it didn't. How do I put it? It didn't rely on being just all about, oh, here's a video game, here's this is based on a video game, da 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 da. It actually took something that is hard to do, and that's adapt a video game into any kind of other media, and make it into something more. I mean, you could look at Blast to the Past and say, well, that was sort of a loosely adapted Sonic CD, a very loose Sonic CD adaptation. And you could say that, and that is true because of the time zones. But the thing is, it was mostly just all original. The first season, dark, dramatic, a bit comedic at times. I'm not going to deny that it did have its humorous moments. Was more of an introductory season. The second season, more lighthearted, still was basically the perfect mixture of lightheartedness, darkness, dramaticness, comedicness. It was just a perfect blend. And it had a constant continuity to it, a continuation or reference from one episode to the next. And this is why people praised it, because even though it was based on the Sonic the Hedgehog video game franchise, of video games at the time, it took a very limited storyline and expanded on it, unlike any other thing they've seen before. So that's why a lot of people, even to this day, look at Sat AM and say, this is probably the best, this is the way you're supposed to adapt a video game into any kind of media, whether it's a movie or an animated series. This is how you're supposed to do it. So I remember watching that, and I tried recording some first season episodes when I moved to Kansas, because the first season was in reruns during the summer. Sorry about that, that was my alarm going off. But like I said, the first season was in reruns in the summer, so I was able to record them with the VCR that me and my dad had bought. Yeah, we had a VCR. I think he had bought one, or we had bought one, or something like that. I was able to record some of the episodes. And then come the second season, my plan was to record the second season. Unfortunately, the only verses I got, unfortunately, I slept through Game Guy, which I've already watched, which I did catch up on and watch. That's good. And as far as I got was Sonic Conversion, No Brainer, both Blast of the Past episodes. The first of two unnecessary comedic shorts in Fed Up with Antron and Ghostbusted, Dulcie, and The Void. That's as far as I got, because the following week, for some odd reason, my VCR decided to finally, do the big kaput. I mean, you could still play stuff on it, it would not record anymore. So yeah, I was out in that area. Thankfully to some people out there, I was finally able to get the final 4 episodes that I was going to be recording after The Void and all that on VHS tape. Again, I can't think of the person that helped me out in that area, but they were able to send me a VHS copy of the final episodes. And then later on, thanks to people like Rafaela XD, through her VCDs, I was able to get the series. And then Lion Gates, of course, did their thing, but they got in trouble with that. And then thankfully, 2007, almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, we finally got Sonic Sat AM on DVD, the complete series on a DVD box set, which I have a viewing copy over here. And as many of you seen up there, I have an unpackaged copy, which I have not opened for 9 years. And I still plan to frame if I don't have to use it. Yeah, those DVDs and that one have never been used. That's unbelievable, right? That shows you how much of a fan I am, that I am willing to go out and get an additional copy like that, along with getting copies for, I think, J Foxfire, I believe, Rafaela XD, I believe, my nephew who's now in the Navy, my cousin who lives in Hayward. If I'm willing to go out and get them copies of that, as well as get myself an additional copy, then, just to have, it shows you how much of a fan I am. And for 25 years, for the whole 25 years, I've been a fan. When Sonic Underground came out, I was willing to give it a chance, because I thought, okay, it's got songs, and that might be the only annoying part about it. But overall, if you took the songs out, it had decent stories. True, sometimes you'd be wondering what the WTF was this episode about, or what the WTF were they doing. It had decent story. It had, in a sense, if you look beyond some of the negatives, it had a decent story. It had a decent story, a decent plot. Yeah, did it end on a cliffhanger? Absolutely. But, maybe they wanted to continue it, but something happened. I don't know. But with that said, but again, like I said, with that said, they did Sonic Underground to me was okay. I thought it was like the second best at the time. Then came Sonic X. And I know this might upset people, but when Sonic X came out, I thought it became the second best one. You take out the Chris element for the first two seasons, and accept the fact that the Chris you got in the third season was probably the best version you got. It was a decent show. It was a funny, decent anime brought over. I thought it was good. I mean, to me, this was the SatAM of this generation. That's what it was. And then, of course, you got Sonic Boom, which is a huge hit. I've seen an episode here and there, and I think it's okay. But we'll have to wait and see what they do with the second season. And then you got the video games. And I can tell you this. I can tell you this. For about... When did the GameCube come out? About 2003, 2004? Again, when did it come out? About 2000, 2003, the GameCube? 2001? I can tell you that when the GameCube came out, and they started doing the Sonic games on that, like the Sonic Adventure Battle, Sonic Adventure DX. I started getting those games. I started getting some of the PS2 games, especially the collection, the Mega Plus collection, which has the comic book covers up to that time when that came out as a bonus, a feature to view. So overall, I have been part of the Sonic franchise through thick and thin. I mean, again, game-wise, I've gotten Sonic Generations. I got, like I said, the Mega Collection Plus. I got Adventure DX Director's Cut, Adventure Battle. I got the advanced games. I got Sonic Battle. You name it. I've pretty much gotten the games. I got Shadow the Hedgehog. I mean, I got Sonic Riders on both GameCube and PS2. It shows you how much of a fan I am. It really shows you. Sonic Riders, Sonic Heroes I got. Sonic Riders I have for the PS2, but Sonic Heroes I got for the PS2 and the GameCube, I should say. Again, it shows you how much of a fan I am and how much I love this franchise. Yes, I was upset for a while when Archie's had a delay in the comics and everything. Yes, I was upset when Ken Penda's legal issues took some beloved characters out of the comic, but as a fan, I truly believe in a sense that those characters will come back in some capacity or way in the near future. And even if they have to come back with new designs, maybe new looks to differentiate them from the Ken Pender look or designs, and if they have to come back maybe with just being called JS or just Sue or Julie or just John or just whatever, or just, well, not Hershey, but Herschel or Michelle or Herschel, that kind of works around it. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to be surprised if that happens because I think it will. But and even with the character, and even through the Mecha Sally arc, which I felt was one, I felt, and I do agree that with a lot of fans, didn't have to go for as long as it did, and necessarily everybody knows as a Sonic fan, I don't showing you how much of a true Sonic fan I am. I did not read a single issue of those Mecha Sally issues until it was done. Until 247 happened, then I started reading them. Why? Because I could not accept seeing the Sally character being portrayed that way. And the fact that a lot of people debated, even to that time and even to this day, whether or not she was gutted, taken apart, and turned into what she was, or in my case, look at the fact that she just had armor welded onto her, maybe with a few exceptions here and there. You know, to me, I did not want to have to go through that. I don't think any fan wanted to go through that, because what was the point? I mean, here's the thing. You basically have Sonic go through this whole... Let me pull it out. You have Sonic go through this whole Genesis arc to save Sally, only to have... Where is it? Let me see. And this was done for the 20th anniversary. Can you believe that? And now what, 25? Well, actually, this wasn't the 20th anniversary. This is more like the 20th anniversary for the comic. But still, now we're at 25. But anyway, only for this to happen? I mean, it's like, what was the point of killing Sally off screen at the end of 225 and then having him save her going through this Genesis thing, having him and her be the primary ones that remember everything, and while they're going through this whole Genesis deal, and then have her be the one that gets roboticized? I mean, what was the point? There was no point. And that's why a lot of fans didn't like what they saw, why fans like me, well, probably mostly only me, didn't read the issues of the Mecha Sally arc, because it was pointless. I mean, there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it whatsoever. But to me, I think the reason Ian Flynn did it is because he wanted to show that nobody was off limits. Well, you know what? It backfired, didn't it? And not because it backfired due to the fact of behind-the-scenes issues, which didn't help it get its conclusion that fans have been waiting for. Because pretty much, I'm sure when this Lost Hedgehog Tales comes out, we're going to pretty much know exactly what it was, that she was supposed to get her free will restored first, and then get her body back, with the design we now have. But it just did. But the thing is, what did you do with her? Not much. And that's what upset fans about this arc. You didn't do much with this character in the state that she was in. So what was the point of killing her off screen, having her be revived through the freaking Genesis, the first Genesis wave, only to have her roboticized through her sacrifice? What was the point? Yeah, you're trying to get fans on her side, saying, see, Sally puts everybody else before her. But what did you do with her afterwards? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.